What is up, guys? Thanks for tuning in today. We are going to be changing a power washer pump on my Excell 2600 or XR2600 pressure washer. So with that being said, let's go ahead and dive in. So, pressure washer, first things first, your pump is located on the rear end of your pressure washer. So what we're going to go ahead is remove this cover so we can expose the pump. So right here, you have one screw to the cover, which is a number 8. And you also have another screw on the end of the cover on this side right here. So what you're going to do is, I got one of these pulled out already. And you're going to pull out these bolts and go ahead and pull the cover right off. Alright, after you remove those two screws, you now have your pump exposed. The reason I'm changing it is that there is a crack down here and it no longer holds the correct amount of pressure for the pressure washer. So the next step in this is you're going to want to remove these 4 bolts that mounts your pump up to your motor. So you got one right here, and then 2 directly below them. So you're going to want to go ahead and unscrew those. And the bolt size on that mounts the washer pump to your motor is a 1/2 inch. So you're just going to use a 1/2 inch wrench or socket if you can fit it in. So now that you got the bolts unbolted from the motor, or the pump that attaches to the motor, there's a little hose down here underneath the pressure washer that you're going to pull out, where it's holding to the frame of it. All you're going to need to do is just give it a little tug to get it out of this little secure rubber mount so you can go ahead and slide the pump back. So with that detached down there, set that right side back up. You have to remove this little, I don't know what you'd call it, standoff pipe right here in order to slide your motor out, because it goes through your base and the hole that's cut out in it in the base will not allow you to pull it out. So you're just going to go ahead and break this loose real quick. And I'm just using an adjustable wrench, make it a little easier for myself. So you're just going to go ahead and back this out. Okay, so this was the fitting that was actually on the bottom of a pump. It's actually your pressure valve or pressure relief valve of some sort, but that would have threaded to the bottom of your pump, and now with that removed you should be able to pull it out. So I'll set that aside. Let's see. It comes out a little further than it did, but now we got the washer, that hose that I was referring to earlier. I need to get that to feed out a little bit more. There we go. So pump pulled off. Go ahead, wash that. As you can tell, it is cracked right down this seam. So this is why we're replacing it. Now we're going to go ahead and take a look at the new pump we're going to be installing. So also on this motor, you got a sprocket drive. This new pump functions off of a keyway drive for the shaft, so you're going to need to take off this sprocket. This is the pump that I have right here. As you can tell, there's a little keyway cut out right there for it. So that's what we're going to need to alter on it. Okay, so after a little penetrating oil, backing out the set screw that goes into the sprocket, I was finally able to break it loose. So that's what it should look like when you get the little gear or sprocket removed. So what you're going to go do now is go ahead and insert the keyway. Mine didn't come with one, so I'm going to have to go find one real quick. And we'll get this bad boy installed and up and running. So, my pump did not come with a keyway, so I just stopped by Ace Hardware. The keyway cost me 80 cents. If you guys don't know what it looks like, this is what it is. Nothing crazy or too fancy. So if you guys are wondering the keyway size that you would need, it is 3/16 by 1 1/4. And that would be the direct size that you would need for the keyway. Some pumps do come with them, and some do not. In my case, mine didn't, so I had to just stop by the local hardware store to pick one up. So right now what you want to do is get the shaft vertical. So what you do, keep pulling it slowly right there. And this keyway slides into place like so. Then you would line up this notch in the pump with that keyway on the shaft. Don't be alarmed, I know the pumps do not look the same, but they no longer make that style of pump. They make this style of pump, which is a direct bolt-on to your motor. It's a lot more compact. You will have to switch a few things over to make it work, but besides that, you should be good to go. So you'll take this, line it up. Like so. If I can get it to line up. Like that. And it is a direct bolt-on, depending on which way. Pretty sure this is right side up. And now you just go ahead and bolt everything back up. So you got 4 bolts right here. And with me, I do have to change my quick connect fitting for my power washer hose. So I'm going to have to swap this over with this. Besides that, that's really the only thing I need to swap over. So I'm going to bolt everything up. Alright, this is what the pump should look like with everything installed. I replaced this fitting because it wasn't a quick connect for my pressure line. Got the 4 bolts mounted on, keyway on the shaft, so that's good. Now all I gotta do is run my garden hose to it, hook up my pressure washer line to bleed out all the air in the garden hose and in the pump. The pump is pre-lubed, so you don't gotta worry about lubing it. And we'll get this thing fired up and see how it functions. Alright, now with everything hooked up, lines bleeding out air from the pump, I've got it running for about 2 minutes now with the garden hose. Make sure it gets rid of all the air so I don't burn up the pump. So, after you guys just seen it, everything functions well, tons of pressure, good kickback to it. So that's how you install a washer pump on a Honda XR motor. Thanks again for tuning in, guys. Remember, like and subscribe.